Well, welcome everybody to the 2024 year in review. It is hard to believe that we have reached the end of 2024. My name is Matt Seaman. I'm the executive director of the consortium. And today we're just going to do a bit of a reflection on some of the things that took place in 2024 as I was going back and looking through all of the events we had, all of the work that was done, all of the things that were captured. It was pretty amazing to think about all the things that you contributed to as we went through 2024. So I'm going to try and touch on the highlights and some of the bigger things that took place this year, but by no means is it a exhaustive list of all the things that were done in 2024 by the consortium and the community that supports us. So the consortium is a nonprofit alliance of member companies. It is all of you that make this amazing thing work and gets all of the work done. And as I think about, and we've used this quote now for a while, that human connections are deeply nurtured in the field of shared story, as we have had a plethora of discussions in the last 12, 18, 24 months on automation and artificial intelligence and how it's going to change the world. It's actually becoming true that our shared stories as people are becoming almost more and more important in how we think about and how we get our work done. And reflecting on the consortium as a organization, I think one of the big differentiators between us and a lot of other organizations out there is that it's through our shared stories as a community that we capture and reflect back all of the experiences of the people that are actually doing the work. And it's a privilege to be on the staff and getting to talk to and listen to hundreds and hundreds of people from dozens of companies around the world on all of the things that you're facing, and being able to capture those experiences, share them with other people, and then create methodologies, papers, blog posts that reflect all of that great work back out into the community. And it really is through those shared stories that the consortium gets its work done and allows us to move all of the industry forward when we think about how we do customer engagement, employee engagement. We are a membership-based organization. This is a view of some of our member companies. And I want to say a big thank you as we get to the end of 2024 to all of our member companies. It is your participation, your membership dollars that help fund being able to offer a lot of the works that we have to the world through Creative Commons licensing. So thank you to all of our members for continuing to be a part of our community. Our work really is done through shared story, whether it is in-person events, in-person working groups, all of the online virtual meetings that we host throughout the year, through open space sessions, through whiteboard sessions. This is how we really bring people together to share the stories and all the operational experiences that take place. So we had a fantastic year in 2024 of bringing people together, both in person. We're getting more and more back to in-person events, but still continuing to host a lot of virtual and online events. The online events give us a great opportunity to pull a wide global audience together to discuss topics. And then having smaller in-person working meetings allows us to really go deep and move things forward. So we'll continue to do a mix of events as we get into 2025. Through all of the interactions that we've had in 2024, there really are four themes that we continue to hear about. Obviously, purpose-driven automation powered by advancing AI. We actually hear about AI and then the way we might want to use AI, but it really is about how do we think about automation? How do we think about leveraging these advancing AI technologies was a huge topic in 2024 and will obviously continue into 2025. As AI tools continue to advance, as more and more vendors just bake the AI into their tools, so we're really just a user interface for AI, but continuing to be a big topic as we go into 2025. Knowledge management across the enterprise. As we've had advancing AI, knowledge management has become a central focus across the entire enterprise. Obviously, for the consortium, KCS and knowledge management is a central figure of everything we do. But we're hearing more and more about how do we bring the KCS core concepts, principles, and even practices now out into the rest of the organization. And we've done more work in 2024 with other knowledge management organizations than ever before, as it becomes this foundational thing in order to power any of the automation tools that we want to put in place. Service organizations as a network connector. We've been talking for a couple years now about support is end to end, and thinking about, as we move more and more towards SaaS type solutions, that support really is across the entire company. That discussion has started to shift a little bit to service organizations as the network connector. And I think that's going to be a theme that we continue to explore as we move into 2025. As all of the top three things here are taking place, management practices really have not been moving very rapidly to shift to the new world that we're living in. And so we're still hearing that management practices are stagnating. And as we need to focus more and more on our people and the shifting skills that our people are going to need, the management practices we have are going to have to start changing. So I'm looking forward to exploring that and thinking about what it is that management practices maybe need to transform into as we start to see more and more changes across the services industry. But these are kind of the big four themes that we're hearing, and I obviously think those themes will continue. So just a bit of a snapshot of 2024. It has been a very good year for engagement, capturing, sharing, and growing the global community of the consortium. We now have over, was it 15,000 people in the consortium community? About 2,800 member people have engaged with us. But over 12,000 non-members are accessing our information, attending public events, and we are now seeing people from around the world engage. We passed 10,000 certified people in KCS this year, which is a huge milestone, and over 1,300 people got certified in KCS or intelligent swarming this year. So we continue to see strong growth in KCS and people getting certified and sharing their certifications on things like LinkedIn through the Credly badges that we use. Through our events, the member Slack, lots of energy and people sharing their expertise, asking questions, sharing their challenges, and all of that has led to a lot of information being captured in the member wiki, as well as blog posts, videos being published. So really a very strong year for engagement across the consortium community. As we think about events, working team meetings, anytime we have more than two people together, we kind of consider it an event for the consortium. But this is really how we get our work done. This is how we share. This is how we learn, how we bring people together. We hosted 67 events in 2024, which makes me tired when I think about it. That's more than 5 events a month. We hosted 53 member-only events and 14 public events. Membership is still the main focus of the consortium. And so having those 53 member-only events is really how we engage with our members and is a big part of the value of being a part of this community. We had a lot of attendees. Some of the events are large, some are very small. So we average around 78-ish members at member-only events and around 163 at public events. But some of our member-only events are 5 or 6 people getting together as a working team, up to a couple hundred people showing up or 100 people at Member Summit. So lots of variance in how we bring people together and what those meetings look like. All of it, though, leads to a lot of rich content being captured across both the public accessed areas and the member-only. We have summaries, notes, videos, discussions, all of it gets captured. We really added a lot of material to our resources over the last 12 months. And a big thank you to Kelly and Sarah on the staff, who really are the ones that do most of the capturing of all of these things and the notes and the posting of the videos and editing of the videos. It's a lot of work to get all that done. And when you're hosting 5 events a month, that's a lot of videos, it's a lot of notes, it's a lot of presentations to get captured, posted, and published, along with always adding stuff to our knowledge base. Jennifer and Jill create knowledge articles for different aspects of the organization and how to work with us. And all of these things come out of the interactions we have with our members and community across all of these different events. To highlight a few of the events in 2024, the KCS Transformation Series is a public set of events we did for this year following the KCS Adoption and Transformation Guide. It was attended by a lot of people. It was hosted by Sarah. And really what we're trying to do is start to have series of events that kind of build on each other and can guide people through a adoption of KCS. And as we go into 2025, we'll be looking at other series. But not only are they great to attend, but it also helps build a library of videos, a library of presentations that can be accessed. If you're thinking about starting a KCS implementation or you're partway through a KCS implementation, it helps us build on that library of resources for helping people think about how to do implementations. What are the challenges they might face? How do they get past those challenges? So it really is something new that we started in 2024 and has been very successful. Automation, AI, you're going to hear a lot about that throughout this presentation because it obviously was one of the big topics in 2024. But we hosted 9 events, dozens and dozens of presentations. Over 50 member companies attended our AI discussions over the course of the year. And when I went back and I started looking at where we were last year at this time in the automation and AI discussions, even at Member Summit where we were and where we are today, the thinking around AI and the reality of what we're seeing is moving so quick. And it's not just that the technology is moving, but how people are applying the technology, how they're using the technology, what vendors are doing with the technology is unbelievably fast paced. And we've learned a lot. And I'll talk a little bit about some of the things that we've learned from all of those events and discussions and meetings. I'm sure you've heard about visibility to impact. It is a big motivator for people to understand how they're having an impact on the world. We've this year hosted a quarterly recap live, which Jennifer and Sarah were hosting. And really what we're trying to do is not wait to the end of the year to talk about all of the great things we're doing, but give people chunks every quarter on here's the things that were worked on last quarter, the events, the engagements, what are all the things that took place in the last 3 months. Sarah does a great job with help from Kelly and Jennifer on kind of capturing what's been done. Sarah posts things in the member-only Slack workspace on here's all the things that took place, here's the things to look forward to next month. So building great set of resources on what's been going on throughout the year, and then every quarter doing a bit of a summary on those things. So we all have visibility to the impact we're having on the industry. The tool communities of practice, I always say communities of practice wrong, and Sarah has to remind me how to say it. But these are member-led, vendor-attended sessions. So the consortium continues to be as vendor neutral as we possibly can. So these are things that the members lead. The Salesforce community of practice has over 100 people in it and has monthly meetings that are often attended by Salesforce. And it's a great way to have impact on how Salesforce is thinking about their tools and the things that they're doing, and to hear from Salesforce about the things they're thinking about. We also have a ServiceNow community of practice, which is growing quickly. It has quarterly meetings right now, but that community is growing more and more. So if you're a member and you're interested in those community of practices, reach out to support@serviceinnovation.org. And you can get added to those meetings. But a great resource for people that are using those tools to get engaged with other members that are using those tools. In September, we hosted the Executive Summit where we bring industry leaders together. And this year, the focus was really about building AI-driven experiences. So shifting from just the hype of AI, but what are we actually doing with AI and what are the experiences? We had 31 leaders come together from 22 different member companies. Had some great presentations by Cisco, SAP, Akamai, SAS on what they're doing with automation, not just the outcome of what they're doing, but the approach and how they're thinking about implementing AI and how they're keeping humans in the loop. And one of the big themes coming out of that discussion was the differentiator is about humans engaging with AI and AI augmenting humans and AI helping humans as opposed to replacing humans. And that is the real differentiator in a customer experience is where do we use AI thoughtfully to make it easier and faster to get solutions to our customers, to our employees, to anybody we're interacting with, but with human oversight. And one of the big shifts that we've seen through the year, and we saw this even in the discussion I was having last week, the fear factor of AI taking our jobs or replacing humans really died down as the year went on. And now it much more is what is the role that our people will have as we continue to automate and make things easier and easier. So some big shifts taking place also in just the talking and thinking around the human AI interactions that are going to take place. A short 2 weeks ago, we had the leadership committee meeting, which is a slightly different meeting from most of the other things that we host. This is a invite in-person only meeting for our benefactor and sponsor level members. We had 26 leaders from 19 different companies come together. And in this meeting, we really focus on diving a little bit into the consortium and thinking about and talking about the topics of interest for these member companies. And these are a couple images of us mapping out some of the interests that people want to talk about as we get into 25 and 26. And are these things that we would want to do online or in person? Then deep diving a little bit in some open space sessions, but really mapping out what the next couple of years might look like for topics of interest for the consortium to work on, and how are the things that companies are thinking about mapping up to the things the consortium is thinking of working on. From this meeting, three things that struck me is how quickly the role of the service organization is starting to change. And I talked about it earlier, but this idea that our services organizations are a central connector that connect our customers to our company, our customers to all the different business units, all the different business units to themselves within the company. But support really has a role now as this central connector. And the role of support is going to have to change, getting further and further from the idea of just break fix, solving problems to how are we integrating our customers into our company across all the different business units and bringing the information and knowledge that we build by working with our customers back out into the rest of the company. Some really interesting discussions took place on that at the leadership committee. Because of that, thinking about the value of support and what is the value that we're providing probably needs to change. So as the role of our service organizations change, how we think about value needs to change. So there was quite a bit of discussion about revisiting the definition of value, how we measure value, and what value looks like. And that is definitely a topic that we're going to be working on as we move forward. I think another big theme we had a breakout session where we talked a little bit about AI with 3 different groups. And another one of the common themes was that AI is just another tool. It's nothing special. I mean, it's special what it does, but it really is just another tool to help us reach our desired outcomes. So it's not that we have to have an AI strategy. We have to have a strategy for business outcomes, and then how are we going to leverage AI tools to help us reach those goals. The same way for the last 30 something years, we've been thinking about what are the tools we can bring to bear, whether it's new CRM technologies, self-service technologies to help us do our jobs better. So thinking about how does AI integrate into our tool discussions is really the same as it always has been. And it's not that we need AI strategies. We need to continue with our business strategies and then figure out how we leverage AI to reach those business strategies. As always, one of the premier events of the year is our annual summit, which we held in Fort Worth, Texas this year. The summit started with the total solar eclipse, so I'm sad to say that we won't be able to mimic that for the 2025 summit, but it was a great time in Fort Worth, Texas. We had a great group of about 105 people come together, and which super fun is we had 35 new people from 7 new member companies attend. And it's always great having new people attend because they bring new energy, new ideas, new thoughts that really help us drive things forward and challenge some of the best practices that people talk about. And so it's great to have a whole bunch of new people attending the annual summit. We like to maintain it at about 105 people. I'd say 100 to 110 is our ideal number of people because we want to make sure people can have all of those connections with other people. We can't have shared stories with huge events where you're just being talked at. We really want our events, and the annual summit is a perfect storm of getting people together to have discussions, share ideas, whether that's through listening to or participating in the hosted sessions or the energy around open space. It really is about bringing people together, and I'm very excited for the 2025 summit to continue that and bring a whole bunch of people together in Atlanta, Georgia, to continue the discussions around AI and knowledge and humans and how all of these things are interacting. At the summit, we did have 13 presentations from 13 different companies sprinkled out over the 3 days and covering a very broad set of topics, from hearing from PTC on what they're doing with Gen AI and how they're using it in kind of to create knowledge articles, through to talking about humans and how we're changing their interactions with intelligent swarming at Autodesk, to KCS in pre-sales at Oracle. A broad set of topics were discussed by a lot of really smart people that wanted to share their stories. And from that, a lot of work has continued throughout the year based on these presentations and discussions that took place. And as always, Open Space at Member Summit was a huge success with 30 topics explored. We actually had to extend the grid to add room for all the topics people wanted to talk about. AI topics dominated the sessions. It wasn't all about AI, but there was a lot of energy around AI, as you would expect. From these 30 topics, there were many follow-up meetings. The open space topics at Summit often lead to bodies of work, and this year was no different. We've captured a lot of what was talked about. All the notes are in the members wiki, but it really has contributed to many of the bodies of work going forward, whether it's updates to KCS and intelligent swarming or new discussions that took place. Open space at the Summit is a driver of content to come for years, and it was really exciting to see how much energy people had at the summit for open space. So we will absolutely be recreating that again this year at the summit. And I'm excited by the topics this year because I think they're going to still be dominated by automation, but I'm guessing there's a bit of a different theme to it than we saw last year because of all the advancements in our thinking. I've mentioned Annual Summit 2025 a few times now, but registration is open for the Summit 2025. It will be in Atlanta, Georgia, March 25th through 27th at the Thompson Hotel in the Buckhead area. It's a great location. There is a really nice shopping and restaurant area right next to the hotel. So we're excited to welcome everybody to Atlanta. And it's easy to fly into Atlanta. Not so easy to fly out of Atlanta, as I have found from going there a couple times now and dealing with how many people are trying to get through security, but it's certainly an easy place to get to. So to shift now to all of those events, all of those interactions, all of those shared stories have led to a lot of captured content, knowledge, and resources. So when we think about how we organize our content, knowledge, and resources, there's really three main ways that we look at it. So we have our training and certifications, our public knowledge, and our member-only resources. And there's lots of interactions between these three areas. There's lots of connections between these three areas. But this is kind of a general way to think about our content and the way we deliver it. Our member-only wiki is an amazing resource of information, and Kelly and Sarah have spent a lot of time reorganizing it, structuring it to try and make it a little bit easier to use. So if you go in there, you'll see that it's broken down by our main categories of leadership and adaptive organization, KCS, predictive customer engagement, et cetera. And when you deep dive into any one of those areas, there are web sessions, team meetings, different topics going on, working meetings going on. And just looking at the KCS section, the 1 hour web sessions then are broken out into automation and tools, coaching, adoption, knowledge domain analysis, and self-service, where we capture all of the different meetings that take place, all of the different work that's going on. And it goes back pretty far. So you'll see things in there going back to 2016, 17, 18 through 2024. But a lot of the resources, are still very, very valid, even if they were created a few years ago. If you have questions about things that are in the member-only wiki, please reach out to us. We're always looking for feedback on how things are organized, and we have a pretty good sense of where things are located. So if you're searching around and can't find something you're looking for or a topic, please reach out to us and we can probably help you. But the member wiki is continuing to grow. Doing events online has added a lot of rich content to the member-only area in the form of videos, notes, all the presentations that are delivered. So there's just huge things in there. And again, if you're looking for something, please reach out to us and we can try and help you find what you're looking for. The public area is where you would access all of the practices guides. So all of the things under KCS V6. So the practices guide, the adoption guides, same for intelligent swarming. Lots of resources in here. And one of the things I wanted to highlight is we publish now a lot of blogs or recaps. We call them blog posts, but there's quite a variance in the things that we're publishing in there. But it's a great place to come and visit often. Every time we have an event, we create a post about that event. So even if it's a member-only event, we still post a recap that people can read about the event. So we're not trying to hide anything. So everything is out there for people to read, but it's a great place to kind of come and get a sense of what's going on. And I think last year we published 23, if I remember correctly, blog posts. And some of the blog posts contain the videos for the events if you want to rewatch the events. But definitely a resource to pay attention to and see what's going on. So to dive a little bit into some of those resources, I'm going to talk about our favorite topic of AI. Like I said earlier, we hosted 9 events in 2024 with 50 different member companies participating, including an in-person meeting that PTC hosted for us in Barcelona, Spain, talking about KCS and collaboration for automation health. Really was eye-opening, just again, seeing the advancements in even PTC's presentation from Member Summit to Barcelona. What they've done is shocking. And then Albert Miles is doing amazing things at Red Hat, talking about intelligent swarming at Ping Identity and how we're changing the way people are interacting. So a lot of great things took place throughout the year, but coming together in person and having a bit of an in-person working meeting in Barcelona was fantastic. And we got to meet some new friends there as well that we hadn't met before. From all of these events, we have created a Knowledge Powered by AI landing page where we are constantly updating what we're learning about automation and the intersection of knowledge and AI, how to leverage AI with knowledge, all of the things that we're doing. There are public resources available here and member-only resources available here. So a great resource for everybody to use in our latest thinking around AI and the AI landscape. There's a couple of videos that we've published on where we see things right now. We'll be updating those as the discussions continue. But it's a great landing page to come and find information. One of the things that is becoming very clear in this whole topic is that KCS is a central figure in your automation strategy. We know it has been for a while. If you want to be doing self-service, you absolutely should be doing KCS to create all of that rich content. But new complex issues still require creativity, problem-solving skills, collaborations between humans. So as we're automating and as we get more and more stuff through self-service, the complex issues are still requiring the skills of our people. Solving problems using KCS, we know, is the best way to do it. So having a robust KCS implementation is what allows us to create and maintain very trusted, structured knowledge that can be leveraged. So the data and content that fuels our automation is really that foundational layer of thinking about how do our new complex issues get solved? How do we capture all of the information and all of the knowledge that we're learning and solving in those new complex issues to create and maintain that structured knowledge database and all that great data and content that's needed by AI to do anything. So KCS really is the fuel that is powering our AI technologies. Now, obviously, we can use AI to think about ways to improve our problem-solving processes. We can use AI to do things with KCS. We've seen some great presentations on creating draft articles using AI, on looking at trend analysis, KDA work using AI, lots of great things we can do with the activities of KCS for AI. And obviously, AI is great at mining our database. But the real power with these automation technologies is thinking about our customer and employee experience. And as we're going through the journey of preemptive support, self-service, assisted support, how do these automation technologies, whether it's generative AI, predictive AI, what else you have that you want to put AI on the end of, how do we leverage these things to really improve our customer and employee experience? And those experiences drive really what we're trying to automate. And a big topic these days is the build versus buy. As tools like Salesforce, ServiceNow, Zendesk, Search Unify, Coveo, any company is building more and more of the AI technologies just into their tools. So we're just using a user interface. What do I need to buy? What do I need to build? What are the things that the vendors are driving? So these customer and employee experiences are really what's going to drive the things that we want to automate. And of course, as we're doing our jobs across preemptive and self-service and assisted, that's the fuel that then allows us to go continue to update and solve new complex problems using KCS to create that knowledge base. So this is kind of the ecosystem that we're seeing develop with KCS really being a central figure. More and more, we're hearing from companies that they need to refresh their KCS implementations. They need to refresh how they're doing the kind of workflows at a very foundational level in order to power what they want to be doing with AI. So it's really an interesting model that is starting to develop. Thinking about all those experiences and use cases, we've captured 40 plus use cases, and we're categorizing them into kind of 5 main categories. Customer engagement, personalized assistance is clearly one of the great uses of AI. But also, how do we automate our processes and workflows? How do we automate knowledge management? What can we do with predictive analytics and decision support? And then employee learning and development. So these 5 categories are how we're starting to capture all of these use cases that we're hearing about from member companies. And I'm sure those use cases are going to change and kind of flow as the technologies change in the coming months and years. One of the resources that we'll be publishing in 2025 is a blueprint for automation, or an automation blueprint. Work by Boston Consulting Group and others has really shown that, like anything, the most energy in any of these transformations is about our operational transformation. So thinking about the talents and skills of our people, our change management practices, our communication. This is where the majority of our work and focus has to be. The actual AI models, the algorithms, the tools are about 10% of the work in automation. So the automation blueprint is being built on all of the discussions and all the things that we've learned from the industry, from our member companies, from the community, to really give us a blueprint for if we're going to undertake any type of an automation strategy, what are the things that we have to think about? And the four, I don't know if we'd call them practices, we'll call them phases right now, that have emerged is around our planning for our automation strategy, preparing, prototyping, and running, operationalizing, and then learning and iterating. So we'll be releasing this. We've been working on it for a few months now. We've had some members working on it. One of the things we did at the Barcelona team meeting was work with that group of people. We went through and the sections of the automation blueprint and updated it based on their feedback. So we're looking forward to finishing that up when I say finishing it up, getting it good enough for use and publishing it at the annual summit. So it'll be a big part of the annual summit will hopefully be the release of the automation blueprint. Lots of things are happening outside of the automation and AI world, though. So we've continued to move a bunch of bodies of work forward. Some of the public available resources, and there's more member-only resources behind these, but the nurturing an adaptive workforce, the principles for an adaptive organization, and understanding success by channel are three areas that we continue to work on. The adaptive organization work, especially as we start to see organizations change, is an area of interest moving forward. But these are resources for people to go explore in the public area of the digital library. Talk about a few specific things that were done in 2024. Very recently published is KCS and outsourced environments. KCS and outsourced environments has been a topic that comes and goes over the years. So we pulled together a group of members that have outsourced environments and kind of did two things. One, we documented the different types of outsourced models. So are we 100% outsourced? Are we a blended model? Is it really true partnership? Is it all SLA based? So what are the different outsourced models? And then what are the things we have to think about in a KCS environment when we have these outsourced models? So things like designing that outsourced program, what are the different quality measures that need to be in place, the contracts themselves that people have, licensing and workflows and tools integrations. Great body of work if you have a outsourced environment. And I'm sure this will continue because outsourced environments continue to mature and change. The measuring channel success has been an ongoing project since 2019. And I mentioned earlier how open space topics often lead to years of work. Measuring channel success came out of an open space topic at the 2019 member summit that took place in Maine. So a perfect example of how a topic that somebody brought up at a open space session has turned into ongoing body of work with 76 people from 20 different member companies having 64 meetings to produce how we think about measuring channel success. And we've had over 12,000 people access the public resources on this topic. So thinking about visibility to impact, those 76 people have touched over 12,000 people in how they think about measuring channel success. And there's public resources available and some member-only resources available. But an ongoing body of work, not just from 2024, but matured a lot in 2024. And I'll talk a little bit about where it's going in 2025. Thinking of our training and certifications, there's been quite a bit of work on training and certification in 2024. Our training and certification is kind of broken into two areas. We have our self-paced online training, which you can get unlimited use licenses of as well. These trainings really focus on the why and what. So Why is KCS important and what is KCS? Why is intelligent swarming important and what is intelligent swarming? And then our instructor-led training, which is the why, the what, and the how. So the instructor-led training goes much deeper into how do we do things. If you think about the KCS V6 practices workshop and design session, the practices workshop talks about the why, the what, the details of KCS, and then the design session really helps you go deep into thinking about how you apply it in your environment. So there's a whole host of instructor-led trainings that are available. The consortium staff are all certified trainers, and we work with member companies if they would like to work with us on these types of trainings. But we have an extensive network of certified trainers and aligned service providers that go much further than the consortium does when it comes to thinking through implementations of KCS or intelligent swarming or coaching programs, any of the topics that we cover. On the training section of the website, you can request a workshop or find certified trainers, find our aligned service providers who have really shown a breadth of skills and a large portfolio that they can help you do things with. But it's a great place to come and look for trainings and certifications, as well as look for publicly available workshops that are being hosted by different trainers and service providers around the world. So highly recommend kind of, if you're thinking about going on a KCS journey or an intelligent swarming journey, attending one of the public workshops being held by people on any of these topics. It's a great way to get introduced to them. We also have our different certifications. So the consortium is the only certifying body for KCS. There are others that do KCS certifications, but they are not authorized to give out certifications. We're the only certifying body. As I mentioned, we had over 1,300 people certified in 2024, 10,000 people plus in total, which is amazing to me. And talking about our certified trainers, we have 33 external certified trainers that have gone through the process of co-teaching courses with certified trainers, passing a certification exam, and we have 29 certified internal trainers that are only able to do trainings within their company. So there's a pretty extensive network of people to tap into. And I highly recommend tapping into all those global resources because they really know a lot. And they're living in it every day. So they really know how to translate these things into different environments and different types of organizations. So that's a lot for 2024. And that just scratches the surface of all the things that were going on and taking place. So going to shift a little bit now in the remaining time to some of the things that are going on for 2025. Sticking with the training and certification theme, we will be releasing a new learning management system in January. So the consortium staff has been working really hard for the last few months on implementing a new solution. It is a modern system that will make it much easier for us to have a robust landing area for learning, certification, and delivering all kinds of new and interesting types of content in a new way. So look for some communications about that and the go live in January. But it's going to offer us a lot of opportunities to refresh our trainings, refresh the way we think about learning and certification. So we're very excited by this move, and we look forward to getting some people in there and playing with it and testing it to provide us feedback. We've been testing it, and we think it's going well. But as anybody who's ever implemented a new tool, there's probably always something that we miss in our testing. So we're looking forward to this and what it can bring us in the future. There has also been an ongoing program through 2024 that we will be releasing in 2025. The program is called KCS Infinity. When we think about the KCS V6 documentation as it lives today, it really has been built on 30 plus years of real world experiences that we know work. If you follow the KCS V6 practices guide, you will be successful with KCS. We know that's a fact. But when the documentation was created, it was originally created to really be printed and be used as a printed book of our experiences. And because of that, there's been redundancy. So if you read a couple different sections, there's lots of redundancy in the current documentation. We've added Appendix A through H as we've learned new things. The Adoption and Transformation Guide has appendices in it, and some of the language has started to change around it. So a big program for the last year has been going through all of the documentation and updating it, really to be much more digitally deliverable and putting the things where they belong. So you don't have to have all those appendices. Those appendices now live in the document where they should live instead of being a separate document. It has not changed the practices. This is not KCS v7, so it is still KCS v6. Hasn't changed the 8 practices, hasn't changed the solve loop, the evolve loop. It's just reorganized it to be, hopefully, a lot easier to use in a digital world. So Kelly and Sarah have spent a lot of energy doing this, and member companies have been engaged as well to validate that we're not actually changing things as we're moving content around. So we're pretty excited by this because this is kind of the first step in then saying, well, where do we now go with the KCS documentation? So look for information on that as we button that up and release it in 2025. But again, it's not changing any of the practices. Updates to training will be minimal, right? We've really tried to just make it so it is structured and easier to use in a digital format. I talked about the AI blueprint being published, so I won't talk about that. But the measuring channel success is shifting to being more about measuring engagement success and thinking about that customer perceived value. So how are we going to assess adding value while minimizing effort? Thinking about the things that are, what is the customer value driver and how do we map that to our internal processes? We can't impose our value on our customers. We can define what value looks like for us internal to a company, but we can't define what value is to our customers. So how do we get smarter and better at understanding what our customers are valuing and not depending on customer satisfaction surveys or NPS scores to say, yeah, look, we're doing a great job of delivering value to our customers. But what does this look like across our engagement strategy? So going to be, I think, an exciting shift in 2025. So we still have all the great work that's been done, but again, shifting this to be a little bit more on the customer perceived value and what does that look like. And as always, we have a host of events that will be getting published. I highly recommend, if you're not on the mail list, I would assume everybody on this call is on the mail list, but if you're not on the mail list, getting on the mail list, we do not spam by any stretch of the imagination. But our mailing list, in our newsletters, we're always publishing the upcoming events. But visiting the events page to see what's being published, we're going to start as we get into early 2025, right? We'll start publishing much more of the kind of calendar of events. But we know a few things. So later this week, we have Ping Identity presenting on a year of KCS there in a KCS in action. The annual summit, which I have talked about. We're planning at least 2 European events this year. We are in the planning stages, so we don't have dates yet, but most likely in Dublin in June, and then back in Central Europe in the October-November timeframe, similar to what we did in Barcelona. What we refer to as our big anchor events. So we know the annual summit is March 24 through 27. Executive Summit is scheduled for September 24th and 25th. That day may change a little bit, but it'll be around then. And the leadership committee we know will be December 2 and 4. So most of the in-person events we have a stronger idea of because we have to line up the event spaces and everything else. But check back often for all of the different events that we'll be hosting, both public and member only, as we go through the year. It gets updated pretty rapidly. When you're doing 5 events a month, we are always adding and shifting calendars and doing exciting things with lots of vendors and members and the community at large. So look for some new events. So that's a bit of a reflection on 2024 and some of the things that are coming in 2025. I would like to say a big thank you to everyone that's a part of the consortium's community. And on behalf of the consortium staff and the board of directors, it really is your generosity in showing up, sharing what your challenges are, how you're solving those challenges, asking interesting questions, posing interesting topics that makes the consortium a very unique environment and allows us to touch hundreds of thousands of people with the KCS content and the intelligence swarming methodologies that people are leveraging every day. So thank you very much for everything you've contributed in 2024, and I am very excited to see everybody in 2025. Thank you.